From Baalbek, we traveled to the Syrian-Lebanon border. We then headed toward Jerusalem. As we entered Jerusalem, we were greeted by the beautiful sight of the ancient wall containing the Golden Gate.
In April 1965, while we were visiting Jerusalem, the Temple Mound area was one of the more interesting areas because our guide took us underneath the Temple Mound area, underneath the Dome of the Rock, where visitors at that time were not allowed to go. There was a whole subterranean world down there. The archaeologists had been digging in that second ground level and found a 4 or 5 inch clay pipe running from the Dome of the Rock to outside the wall, and that hole that's in that massive rock under the Dome of the Rock where the sacrifices were possibly made, believed to be made, the pipes carried the blood from there to outside of the temple, and that was a fascinating thing to contemplate and look at, see that pipe there.
Also, we went to the Mount of Olives, and we were surprised at how close it was to Jerusalem.
These trees in the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives are believed to have been there when Jesus and his disciples spent their last night there before his crucifixion. We visited Golgotha, the place of the skull where Jesus Christ was crucified, which was a few steps away from the garden tomb where Jesus Christ was buried and resurrected from the dead. There we met a Christian Arab who was the keeper of the garden tomb. I had read a story about this gentleman back in the 1950s in Abundant Life magazine, that the evangelist Oral Roberts was there and prayed for this man who had a crippled leg, and his leg was healed. So I want to ascertain for myself if this was really true. So since I was there in Jerusalem, in the Holy Land, I asked him about this incident, and he says, yes, Evangelist Roberts was here, he prayed for me, Jesus Christ healed my leg, and I'm perfectly whole. I'm able to walk normally without any problems. And he was praising and thanking God right there in the resurrection garden of Jesus Christ. The gentleman who was the keeper of the garden tomb, I have to remember something more about him. In the first week of June 1967, a couple of years later after we had been there, the 7-day war was going on between the Jews and the Arabs. And during the fighting and over Jerusalem, a soldier came to the garden tomb, knocked, and when the gentleman came, spontaneously, nervousness or whatever it was, they shot this man down and killed him. And then he was buried later in the garden tomb. So there was a new tomb in the garden, being buried there at the same place where Jesus Christ had been buried and resurrected.